Says we're live.
All right.
Well. Who do we have here on a Wednesday night? No other than the Painfully Honest podcast. So here we are. We got Zach, we got Viper, we got myself, Jason. I just put Jason in there. So, because everybody knows who I am. And we're gonna do our show tonight. Because yesterday was just like a weird day, and then, there was weird shit going on. I mean, stuff. Sorry.
Okay. We are taking super chats to fix that.
We are. Yeah. I'm giving out quacks tonight. So yeah, but here we are. It's Wednesday.
It is.
Somebody told me there's some kind of event today about a Samsung smartphone. So I guess we'll talk about that. And
it's their fourth unpacked this year, I think.
Yeah, I know. How could they not be unpacked yet? It's like
they're still unpacking. It's a process.
Like, they still got 3 months left in the year. They can unpack some more. But yeah, so we got Samsung with their. I'll wait until after the first 15 minutes to curse anymore, and tell you what I think FE stands for. But here, yeah. But also we had iOS 14 came out last week, and all the videos came out, and people were watching, and I have some interesting insights into some people's reactions to iOS 14, and not like the Android people, because we know what the Android people are saying.
Yeah.
But like some seemingly like, dyed in the wool, have only ever used iOS people commenting on my video. It was interesting, but maybe we should start out and just say good evening to the people. I mean, I see Zach Talks Tech is here. Big John Tech Reviews is here. Krista's here. Krista is here. We got Scott, Tech 702, Gilbert, Rod. Thought I saw yeah, there's Genesis. Gwendolyn's here. Okay, so
Tech 702.
Yeah. I got him. Kayvon's here. I got to make sure I get all the members. Thinking Fox was here early.
Cool.
So why don't we just why don't we do something different and say, like, I don't know. So what are you interested in this week? It's the middle of the week. What has happened this week that's worth talking about in the world of Zach, or that you think is worth talking about?
I got Google sent me a Pixel 4a last Thursday, so that's the most interesting thing that's happened to me since last Thursday. So it's been fun using this little engine that could.
He's speechless. He's literally speechless.
You put me on the spot. I wanted to talk about the Samsung FE, but you don't want to go there yet. So
not yet.
No, I mean, Google sent me out their Pixel 4a, and it's doing what Pixel stuff does, and I'm having a great time with it. I'm having more fun with it than I did with the Pixel 4, which is interesting. I don't have a lot of complaints because it focuses on what it needs to do, and I'm gonna have a video soon on it. I've been posting some pictures here and there, so.
Cool. Tech 702 says, with the 702 super chat, don't you dare disparage the FE. LMAO, as they say. It's a good phone. Miss you guys. Been busy. Well, we've missed you as well. And your super chats. Thank you very much. Super chat line is open this evening. If you want us to definitely say your name and answer whatever question or read whatever you have to say, super chat. Guaranteed way to do it. Just because I feel bad if I don't, if you super chat.
There we go.
So Viper, what's exciting in the mind of Viper right now, midweek?
Whoo! So your boy Viper has now been involved in 2 different pre-order debacles. My God.
Oh yeah.
It was ridiculous trying to pre-order a PlayStation 5 and an Xbox Series X, but somehow, some way, people, I managed to secure one of each. So, yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Trying to pre-order stuff in 2020 is kind of ridiculous.
I was like, when the PlayStation 4 came out, I didn't pre-order.
I didn't either.
I showed up at Best Buy the night that it was released, and they had like 17 that hadn't been pre-ordered.
Huh.
And whoever was in line up to that number got to get one. And I was like 10 or something. I don't know.
So me and you were in the same place at the same time 7 years ago. Interesting.
Yeah.
I was in line at Best Buy too.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm glad that I got it too. Well, I don't have my original. I got a PlayStation 4 Pro now. But that first one I used for however long it was until the Pro came out. And yeah, I played a lot of Battlefield.
What's the difference with the Pro? Does it have 120 hertz refresh?
It does 4K gaming upscale. Its base storage was a terabyte.
Okay.
It just more powerful.
I was just trying to trigger somebody in our live audience by saying 120 hertz refresh.
Just mute his mic already.
Which, by the way, you should be joining us on the live show here, usually on Tuesdays at 8:00 Eastern on YouTube. Goes out as audio
broadcast in 120 hertz.
We broadcast at 120 hertz
Wow.
with really overpriced headsets.
Yep, except for Viper.
And
Viper decided to sound like he just got off a round of Call of Duty Warzone tonight, and put on his Turtle Beach headset to show us exactly how crappy Turtle Beach microphones sound.
Wow.
Jason doesn't have anything again.
The first video that ever like did well for me was a reboxing of a Turtle Beach headset that looked very much like those.
What's a reboxing? You put it back in the box?
You go, Lord.
Yeah, I was like, I'm putting this thing back in the box and putting it back to Best Buy.
By the way,
I need some objectivity in the chat. So for those of y'all that are listening to or watching this podcast, let me know how my audio sounds. Does it sound decent? Can you tolerate it, or do I need to go break out the Rodecaster? Let me know.
I just want to point out really quick. Not all of us on the Painfully Honest Tech podcast agree or side with the opinions and feelings of one Jason T. Lewis. Just so you know, people that are watching and possible brands.
I still get a lot of Turtle Beach stuff sent to me. I still do Turtle Beach videos. I still generally, they've gotten better. I will give them that, because back during the Xbox 360 PS3 days, gaming headsets really weren't that good. But there like Astro was there, and there were a couple of others, but they were like really expensive. So, you know, yeah, I agree, man. I agree.
Right.
Look at this.
Woo!
So
wow,
he's switching.
You are on the Painfully Honest Tech podcast. Expect the audience to be painfully honest.
I like that. That was smooth. That was a smooth transition. I like that, Jason.
Yeah, right. But Turtle Beach had to get better because gaming headsets got cheaper and better pretty quickly when PS4 and Xbox One came out.
We should have done this as a blind test. Viper should have been on that, put the mic thing back, and had his Rode in front of him, but muted, to see what the chat would actually say.
Oh, I don't think there's going to be any real, like, it will be obvious. It will be like it'll be like going from 480 to 1080.
Okay.
Maybe even 4K, man. I don't know, or at least 7.
Jason, Jason, like, we want to hi-fi audio.
Oh, we have a guest. Keep on talking.
Yeah. Oh, okay. We have a guest. But yeah, so I've had an interesting week, I guess. So I had never done an iOS video. Oh man, that's a fat cat.
Oh, it's Smokey.
That's a big boy.
Yeah, geez, Louise. I thought my little mini Aussie was fat. I don't feel so bad. But but no, I'd never made an iOS video before. And I had to make 2 videos that day because I wanted to get a video out. I had a sponsored video that, like, it's not a sponsored video, but it's going to carry an ad that is sponsored. And I had to make that, and I had to make another video so I could get a video out. So I did the iOS video. I had like little bitty notes. Like I had just bullet points, and I just made the video, edited it. I didn't even make a thumbnail. I used one of the thumbnails that YouTube suggests, like those little screen grabs that they give you after your video uploads.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow it ended up on trending, which is bizarre. I mean, I was very glad because this has been a rough year. This has been one of those years where it's just like everything is just like going through molasses. It's just a slog this year for many reasons. Everybody knows. So to have something like that happen, hadn't happened for a while, was pretty cool. I don't think I've ever been on trending before. I mean, I've had videos that got a lot of views, but
I thought your 1 million one hit trending. I thought that.
I don't know if it did or not. I don't think I knew trending existed when that happened. So I just, because that was a couple of years ago at this point. So yeah, it was weird. It was weird, and I got to admit, I liked making the iOS 14 video. I liked making it. I made a couple after that because I was just like, well, geez, there's so many things that you could tell people about. It's like the golden goose in terms of content.
Yeah.
Genosis says the Turtle Beach mic was tolerable. Viper has yet to speak again, so we'll know how tolerable it is here soon. But yeah, so that was crazy. But it was one of those things. Like I was on trending, then I was off trending, and it's like it never happened. Just back to the old grind. Back to the old grind. Here we are, Painfully Honest Tech Podcast. But I heard you. I heard you, Viper.
Okay, good.
But yeah, we I don't know. I went out and bought this too. Well, I didn't go out.
Oh, you got a Series 6?
He bought an Apple Watch. Look at him. Ooh.
No.
What did you have before? Series 4?
Yeah, I got a Series 3.
Oh, you bought 3. That's right. I saw your tweet today. You bought it.
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't get the SE. I thought you would get the SE and give it
the SE was like, 4 to 6 weeks or something. All of the new ones are like way out, or like I think it was like mid-October at the earliest.
Oh, you went back. You went back. Okay.
Well, see, I looked at everything that I know that I use on the Apple Watch, because I've had Apple Watches since I think the series. I had a Series 1. I've had almost every single one. I didn't have a 5.
Okay.
So I know what I use the Apple Watch for, and all that stuff is like fully supported on this watch.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's either $600 or $200.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, the Series 3 is still one of the best deals out there for a smartwatch, period. I mean, you can't really go wrong with that. And for those of y'all in the chat, no, I did not give up. I am not going to sit here and provide you guys a subpar audio experience if I can do better. So you guys said the micro chat, so I upgraded. There you go.
You sound decent.
You sound like you're not inside your own trash can.
It is a Painfully Honest Tech Podcast, so we will critique each other throughout the podcast.
I'm not critiquing Viper. I'm critiquing the crappy headset that he came in here with.
Damn.
You got to remember that I started out doing the gaming headset thing.
I remember very well.
Yeah,
you know what's ironic about audio and everything? We talked about this offline just before we went live. Jason's video that went on trending, there were several comments from people who obviously don't know Jason's content and where he comes from and his expertise. And they're like, awesome video. I learned a lot. Looked great. The audio was horrible. And I thought for anybody who have horrible audio, Jason should never have. But you know what? It did suck, Jason.
I know it did. I know. And the thing is, like I told you guys, I've been trying to find ways to be able to make videos where I can leave everything set up and I can just like sit down and do it. So it's kind of like I have to have the setup for the overhead cam and the setup for the regular A-roll cam, and I want to have a mic there that I don't have to fool with.
Yeah. And
at the time, that was literally just a YouTube studio down there in the studio. I've separated my setups again because things were getting too crazy.
Before we go further in the podcast, Jason, since you are the guru of gaming headsets, when I was gaming heavy, my favorite were Astros. What are your thoughts on Astros? Are those any good for you? Or
Yeah, Astro's good. They're not my favorite. I think
Steel Series.
The Steel Series Pro wireless and the Series Pro wireless and the Steel Series Pro with Game DAC, which is the wired version of the Pro wireless, are the two that I think have the best sound quality and the best features around right now. Astro's build quality is better, but like the Steel Series Pro with Game DAC does 192 hertz audio. It's high definition audio certified, which I've never heard of in a gaming headset before. So those are really good. And actually, probably the video that's done the best for me consistently over this year has been my review of the wireless version. Mm-hmm. But I've had Astros and really liked them. Astro is the sound signature of Astro is a little bit more full and not as crisp. And that's not my favorite sound signature, especially for gaming. Mm-hmm. Some people love that really full sound that Astro brings. It's not my favorite for gaming stuff. So but these days I'm using Sennheisers with Sennheiser amps and stuff, because Sennheiser sent me, or it's not Sennheiser anymore. It's their EPOS. Mm-hmm. They just sent me these.
Those look nice. Those look like those remind me of like a stormtrooper.
I like them.
Well, yeah, black and white.
I got the whole stormtrooper setup here,
nice.
So because I've got these, and then I've got a white DAC, little DAC.
Okay. All right. Let's get on to the meat and potatoes, as our friend Terry Warfield would say, of tonight's podcast and the title of tonight's podcast is, did Apple improve iOS with iOS 14 or turn it to Android? Specifically, I think we're talking about the customization in general and widgets. Oh my God, widgets.
Well, I tried to plug my external hard drive into my iPad, which is running iPadOS 14 earlier this evening, and it wouldn't read my damn file. So I didn't have the problem on iOS 13. So iOS 14 is a little buggy, and I'm going to need Apple to clean up the bug because it's kind of annoying.
What? How's the hard drive formatted? Do you remember what formatting code used?
Whatever Apple using that they're formatted, that's probably how it is.
Okay.
I think it's an AFS or something, whatever it is. What do they call it?
Yeah, I forget exactly what it is, because they had one and now they have another. They're similar but not quite the same. I don't know.
Consequently, I plugged the same hard drive into my Galaxy Fold 2 and had no problem, nothing. So how many Apple have real quick?
Edit your videos on your fancy Galaxy Fold 2 then.
So let's go around here. We'll start with Viper, and then we'll go me, and then Jason. What are your thoughts on how Apple has done widgets so far? And I'm not talking about third-party stuff, but what you get with iOS 14. What are your thoughts so far?
Well, you're asking the right person. Given I've done 10 videos now on iOS 14. But,
yeah.
My conclusion is that they Apple widgets. They did widgets how Apple would do widgets. You can only have certain types of third-party widgets. You can't really have any third-party widgets unless you download that other Apple. We're not talking about that. But the way Apple does it, they have only a select few apps. You can't really do much editing or customization on their widgets. Like, they have this widget called the Smart Stack, which you can stack widgets on top of each other. You really can't customize it too much. You can't really add to it. All you can do is subtract apps from it. You can't add apps to it. I don't even know. There's not even and I know why, but there's no help widget. But I'm pretty sure that's against every law known to man. So that's probably why that's not a help widget on there. But there is an activity widget so you can track your steps and things like that. So that's cool. I know people were asking me about a help widget, and there is no help widget because that will go against HIPAA laws. So that's probably why there's no help widget. But yeah, they Apple do widgets. So, I mean, it is what it is. Picture, it kind of limits it. Still waiting for Google to add support for the native YouTube app. I
was going to say, yeah.
That's on Google. That's not an Apple thing. Once Google updates that, we'll be good. Other than that, I mean, I haven't really done too much with App Library, but that's pretty good to be able to clean up your home screen and not have all those icons on the one screen across your iPhone. So that's cool. I like it. I like the fact that Apple is opening the floodgates to customization in the walled garden.
Yeah.
Obviously, if Steve Jobs was still here, then probably would not be happening at all.
Yeah.
But the fact that Tim Cook is allowing for more flexibility, he's allowing more iOS users to kind of customize their iPhones how they want them, but not quite. I like it. I liked it. Oh, and the third-party app. I changed mine to Chrome and Gmail, so that's pretty cool. Although that's limited too, because if you're in the widget, if you're in the Twitter app and you click on an email, it still opens up in Apple's Mail app and not Gmail. So I don't know what's going on with that.
Sounds like a bug. I'm going to share a lot of the same things as you. I kind of like how what's natively on there with iOS 14, how it's customizable, but it's like a limited customization. It's not customizable, excuse me, to the point that we're used to, like with Android. It's very Apple customizable. I guess that's
there you go, right? Yep.
It's very Apple. So okay, so here's your widget, here's your size, and then okay, with this big one you can stack it. I'm a big fan of the app library. At first, I didn't like how it auto did everything, like it put things, but then I very quickly got used to it. So that allowed me to clean up things and then just put a couple of big widgets on there that I wanted. So I stacked up my weather, my fitness, my Google search bar, and also I'm really liking the screen tracking of like what you're using the most and everything. And then I put the date and time, the battery at the top there. So I'm enjoying what they've done here. I have downloaded, like I said, a third party, which is Color Widget. Okay,
that's what I got.
Yeah, and that's got the big time thing at the top. I think I saw Jason's video, and it's got the big time at the top there with the date and everything. So I really like that. But yeah, it's very Apple-ish customizable, right? And it should be interesting to see how the future is. It definitely fits in the tone and the mood of an iPhone. So
exactly. Are you using BackTap?
No, I haven't set that up yet. I keep on meaning to. I don't know what I would set it up for. I keep on coming across.
Let's talk about your personal life on your own time.
I think it's a Sats video on TikTok. I keep on coming across. He was talking about it, but I haven't set that up yet. No,
I talked about it in my video, and set it up for a couple of things. But I honestly, like, I haven't been able to get it to work consistently. It's probably user error, but like I keep tapping and nothing happens.
No, the same thing happened in my video. I was tapping and it didn't work at first.
So I had like the double tap as the like app switcher, and triple tap as screenshot. But it's been taking random screenshots when I'm not even tapping.
Yeah.
So yeah. I'm like, yo, dude, what's going on? So it's
you don't want to end up like Chris Evans there with the wrong screenshot.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
I don't, although nobody would really care, because if any photo like that came out of me, they'd be like, "Oh,
way to go, Cap!" On your left.
They'd be like, "Can you take that back, please? Can you scrub the internet of those images?" But,
man,
okay, I have to admit now, I've had iOS 14 on my iPhone 11 since the beta first started. But I had not been really using the iPhone very much at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't really pay very much attention. I tried, I put some widgets on there or whatever, tried it out. But when I decided to make that video the other day, I was like, well, I guess I got to figure out what this is all about. Mm-hmm. And after I went through the whole thing, I am actually super impressed with the way this works.
Yeah,
because it works exactly the way I would want to use an iPhone, but I had to work around.
It's intuitive, right?
Yeah,
it's very intuitive. Yeah,
I mean, I made a video. I think it came out yesterday. I don't remember, maybe Sunday. I made a video about like how I have my phone set up.
Yeah,
and so if you want to watch that, it's on the channel. But I've got like that big color widget on here with the date and the time and the battery percentage. Then I've got like the super huge Apple Music app, because it gives you the opportunity to like not only play the thing that was already playing, but to select from another playlist or another record that you were recently playing.
Yep.
And you can do it all right there. So I'm thinking like, okay, when I'm walking and I want to change what I'm listening to, I don't want to have to stop and dig into the app and all that kind of stuff. Try to talk to Siri. So I did that. I've got one of those smart widgets that has like, just it's got calendar and podcast and photos and stuff like that. And it changes contextually during the day, which is actually kind of cool. And I've always wanted to use the shortcuts.
Oh, the Siri shortcuts. Yep.
But they were never really integrated into iOS in such a way that you could just easily sort of get to them, And now they got an app where I've got like 8 loaded up here on this. Everything from like planning 3 main tasks of the day to just like quickly play the top 20, like it's quick tunes, like plays the top 25 songs on my Apple Music list, like my most played songs. So it's kind of cool. And then I've got like a Siri smart widget thingy, Siri suggestions. And I was a little bit weird about the app library at first too, because I expected it to work like a folder.
Yeah.
Like pop open and you do your stuff, and it will do that if you touch the sort of smaller ones in the bottom right hand corner. But I found that it does a really good job of like sticking the stuff that I want or that I just recently used in those 3 top slots where it's just the regular size app.
Yeah. Suggestions recently added. Yeah.
But I still like the way that I always searched on an iPhone for an app. I never like scrolled across my windows or anything like that. The way that I always searched was I just would pull down and start typing the name of the app and it would pop up. So this means that I was able to hide all of those screens that had, just rows and rows of apps on them. And if I want to go into the app library and grab something, I can, but it's just kind of like the apps are in a drawer, and like an app drawer, and you can go in there if you want to and find the apps, but you don't necessarily have to. I'm a big proponent of using search to find the stuff that you need on your phone, and it's really easy on the iPhone. I am enjoying iOS 14 so much that I have stopped using my Note 20 Ultra.
What? Really? Wow.
Yeah. So,
okay.
I mean, it does everything. One of my problems with Android widgets is that they were never really integrated into the operating system. You could have an individual widget for your calendar, individual widget for this thing, you have a crappy widget for the third-party app, whatever, that would break half the time. They weren't integrated into the operating system, but all of these are specifically integrated and do different things related to the operating system. And that to me makes them better than Android widgets. I haven't made my video where I explain this and why. I plan to, but yes, they're limited in that you can only have certain sizes and they can only be on there in certain ways, and it's still like, all that stuff. But the way that they function is much more functional in the larger context of how the phone works than Android's widgets are. And I have people in my videos.
I think when you do that video, you need to get really specific. So, for example, me personally, I've always had a good experience with the onboard Pixel widgets and the onboard Samsung widgets. But with other devices, I have had, like you said, some weird stuff here and there. And then again, the other side of the coin, the third side of that coin, I guess, is third-party widgets, like things you can download, from the Play Store and everything like that. So, I guess it's always been specific.
It's always been a very mixed bag, depending on what the app is and where it's coming from and all that kind of stuff. And you can use stuff like you can change everything about your home screen. You can, I mean, I know you can do that. You can dig into Android and make it like completely your own. But most people, if you go on forums and look at people's like home screenshots, it looks like you know the backside of their freaking notebook in high school. It's just it's like it just is not aesthetic at all.
I have friends and family who have used Android for years, like going back to like Galaxy S3. They maybe had an LG later on, then they went back to Galaxy S5 and everything, right? And in all that time that they could have, widgeted this and that, and I would consider these people to be quote unquote average users, if you will. Never. Yeah. You know what I mean? They'll use what's on board. Like, maybe they'll come across it by accident kind of thing. But then usually I'll come across these phones full of like screens full of icons, which totally triggers me as an Android user.
See, the thing is, like, I'm noticing just 1 second, Vipe. I'm noticing TechRant is like, widgets on iOS are forgettable. Here's the thing. You can't try and use widgets on iOS the way that you use widgets on an Android phone.
That I was going to say that as well. Like, if you try to put too many and everything.
Well, no, I mean, I don't have any app icons on my phone at all.
Okay.
I curated like the widgets that I wanted to work specifically in the way that I needed them to. I do have icons here, but that's like the Siri suggested thing. It's actually a widget.
Okay. So you went app library and then your big widget. Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't have any apps at all. I think if I were trying to use the widgets while still having app icons on the screen, I wouldn't be nearly as excited about it. But because I've sort of I really went through and thought about how do I want to use this and how do I want to organize it. Now it's like a totally different experience.
That man didn't change.
Juan saying you went Windows Phone.
That man.
Yes, I did. I did. I know. I didn't realize how much I missed the Windows Phone tiles.
Shout out to Gabriel T. Black, regular contributor and viewer and listener here on the podcast and all of our channels.
Gabriel is legit
with the $9.99 super chat. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. Do we have quacks from? Do we have?
Yes, we do.
Yes, science.
So, right. I have never really gotten into the whole shortcut thing because I really didn't like the way that on iOS you have to go in there and like kind of build it. Everything with iOS is pretty much naturally integrated, and I shouldn't say integrated, it's automated. So most things that you do on iOS can kind of automated. So I didn't really like the fact that you have to like go in there and build a shortcut yourself. But when I made my video talking about bat tapping and how I wish the function is to open the camera, people were like, "Yo, Viper, just build a shortcut and then map it to opening the camera, and then you got the back tap to open the camera." And I just did it. And, oh, okay. How many people do these shortcuts more? These shortcuts are legit. Okay, I see y'all.
Yeah, that's the learning curve for actually building your own shortcuts. Well, is pretty steep. Like I went in there and tried to do a couple of things, and like, I wanted to do a journaling thing where I opened up day one. I started a certain playlist on my Apple Music. I did something else and turned the lights on to this color, that color, whatever. And the deeper I got into trying to make it happen, the more I was like, oh, I got to figure out, like, this is actually like halfway programming.
Yeah.
And so I didn't do it. But now there are enough widgets that are available sort of a la carte in the widgets app that offer you enough different kinds of functionality that I was able to fill like, 8 blocks here with stuff that I would use regularly now that they're right there in front of me, once I recognize them, and I put them together based on the time of day.
And you know what makes a widget really useful is when you can get the information you want from that widget without actually having to click the widget, which I feel that iOS widgets seem to do a good job of that. I'm not saying that Android doesn't, but that's the key point of a widget, is it not? To get that bulk information without having to go into that app or without having to click into the widget. Shout out to Rashid AI.
Oh my God!
$5 super
Rashid
chat.
is the man.
Holy
Rashid is the man. Thank you very much.
Quack.
Gabriel too.
Yo, Allegra, you the real MVP. Oh my God, this Starbucks shortcut is legit. It just does it automatically. Are you serious? Wow.
So Viper has one button to press now for Bay.
Oh my. Okay. All right. Okay.
So starting to feel better about the iOS, right?
I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this.
Can Bruce Wayne do that? No.
Bruce Wayne cannot do that. No.
He named his phone.
Oh,
He
really?
named his fold Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. Yes,
Oh boy.
We're going to talk about that later because that's a,
So-
yeah.
The one thing that, like, talking about Apple widgets and iOS 14 like this makes me feel kind of guilty and bad about Bixby. Because Bixby,
Who?
Nobody
Bixby.
cares about Bixby. Stop it,
Who?
Jake.
because here's the thing, like anybody out there who uses the Samsung phone and has like taught themselves to use Bixby will tell you that it will get you anywhere to do anything on your phone by just telling it. It's really integrated into the operating system in a very deep way.
I'm convinced that the only people that use Bixby are the people that decide to learn how to use Bixby to make a Bixby video and then got no views. That's my. I'm serious about that.
Well, it's them and the people who like complain on my videos that like Bixby's awesome and I always slagged on it. So I actually asked people to explain to me why it was so awesome, and it's because it's integrated like super deeply. You could just say, you know, hey Bixby, go to this setting, and it'll just go there. You know, so it's pretty cool. But Samsung did the thing that Apple did with Force Touch, and they never made people learn how to use it.
They removed it from WatchOS 7. They removed it for
Yes, and they should have done that. Put it back, Apple.
They removed it because you could use a Force Touch before to clear all your notifications, and now you have to scroll to the top and click clear all.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That is so un-Apple like. What the
And
heck?
I only learned of that feature like 2 months ago. I'm like, my watch could do this the whole time. Cool. And then they take it away.
Yeah, well,
And it must be one of those things where it wasn't intuitive enough, so they just removed it, which I can't understand why you would remove it. But
yeah. See, like Juan says here, Bixby is really good at making macros, but it's wrapped in the trappings of another assistant. So it's like kind of intertwined with Google Assistant there. But what it does well, it does really well. It's just that it's not obvious that it does that.
For the times that I tried using Bixby, I tried using it for a week, whatever. But I, like you said, it kept on getting wrapped up or interfering with things that I had Google doing, or maybe it was something that I was just used to, clicking a button. And like I have this beautiful phone, this beautiful screen. I want to press buttons, right? Like that's why I got it, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to be using my voice. One of the things I love here in my home, for example, is all my upstairs lights are controlled by Google. So I can say, hey, turn on these lights or turn right, which is great because the switch is on the other side of the room in a really annoying area. So I put all smart switches and everything like that. Right. But sometimes it doesn't always work. Right. So going back to Bixby kind of thing, this I would experience the same thing. Sometimes it would interfere with Google. Sometimes I just want to push a button.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. I mean, it's interesting to me, like I said, that with iOS 14, there have been not like hundreds of people, but a significant number of people have been like, I don't like Tech Rant was earlier. It's like, well, I like it. I don't understand what the big deal is. I don't want to. So, but to me, and maybe it's because, I mean, I've been going back and forth between iOS and Android since the two things existed.
Mm-hmm.
So I know pretty well what the benefits of Android are in terms of customizability and what the benefits are of iOS. And now it's like one of the things that I always wanted to get right with Android, but never quite got there, that being able to just go ahead and like make your phone a map for your day and be like super organized with it. I could never really do that. I could do it by page, I put my calendar on there and, that kind of stuff, email, whatever. But this is like, especially with the smart widget and the contextual stuff changing throughout the day. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, I never have to like touch an app again. And if I need to find it, all I have to do is pull down and search.
So with all this being said, do you think, as per the title of tonight's show, did Apple improve iOS 14, or did it turn it more Android-ish? What are your thoughts on that, Jason? Do you think it's more Android-ish, or do you think this is very Apple in line with Apple's vision?
I think it's even more Apple than iOS was before this.
Okay.
It's even more because iOS was always the way it was because it put a system in place of how the phone worked, right? And they never strayed from that, so that the people who were using the phone didn't have to think about all that high level stuff. They could keep the rest of their mindset for the high level stuff they have to think about in their everyday, and the Apple and iOS just works the way it works. And now they've taken it that step beyond, and they've made it so that iOS will do some of the things that you would do for yourself if you needed, like you would do for if you would do for yourself, you know. So like it puts all this stuff right in front of you. And I tell you, like, the contextuality of how these widgets work, and not all of them do, but I mean, with smart widgets and everything else, and you can stack the widgets and all that kind of stuff. That is I don't want to. I mean, I love to make people mad, but I don't want to piss anybody off and say
no, you don't want to piss anybody
better
off.
than the way it's better than Android, because Android's not necessarily going for the same thing, but you could make an argument that maybe they should, now that I've seen it work this way.
I would say Android, in a way, depending on like whether you're going with a third-party widget or depending on the device. Android almost gives you too much customization to the point where it kind of breaks things or things don't work properly. Whereas with Apple's first go at widgets, like we were saying, it's very Apple-ish, gets just the amount of information. Here are the set sizes. Here is the, it's very, it's customizable, but it's within that walled garden, as we call it, right? It's very Apple-ish, right? So
yeah, and like I said, just the way that it contextualizes whatever the phone is doing is like more iOS than iOS ever was. And I think that's really cool. So the ZB87 says iOS made the battery life worse from customizing like Android, if that's what you mean. It didn't make the battery life worse. Okay. And I'm going to tell you why. You could watch my video that I put out yesterday. That would help you understand. But there are some things that iOS 14 comes like some settings that are turned on by default that are battery draining settings.
I haven't had any issues with my battery since.
But updated. I mean, my battery's been a beast.
I can almost get 2 days.
I took this off the charger this morning at 7 o'clock, and it's 6:47, so that's almost 12 hours, and I've got 65% of the battery left.
I haven't experienced any change since the update.
Yeah, I think the way you have your settings and the age of your phone, maybe the apps that you use in your day, all that different stuff, like what your screen on time is versus somebody else, et cetera, et cetera. All those things are variables that are really hard to account for. Yeah. But when I've been watching, because I've been seeing a lot of people say that since they downloaded iOS 14, it's the video or the battery life has been worse. Is that
a consistency across all types of iPhones, like all models, or is there a consistency with models? Has anybody mentioned
that? That's the thing. I don't know. I mean, it shouldn't really make that much of a difference, because I mean, if you think about all of the current iPhones, they have all basically got the same internals.
Yeah. Shout out to the 186 of you that are here with us live on the show. That's awesome. Yeah. We've been consistently getting like 150 plus, 180 plus for the last few weeks. So we appreciate you guys being here. Yeah, and especially on an off day, like it's Wednesday, you crazy mofos, it's hump day. So thanks for being here.
Yeah. Much appreciated. Much appreciated.
Yeah.
It's what Apple's doing right now is making me think things about my channel. I'll say that. Because
It's almost like Apple content brings people in.
well, yeah, I know. Who would have thunk it?
Yeah.
But I don't want to get deep into it right now. Maybe later on in the show we can talk about how my channel has felt like a prison for the past 18 months or so. but
when we enter the therapy session of the show, we'll go there.
Yeah. But I am really impressed with iOS 14. There are things that could be better. You could customize in the app library if they could allow you to do that. They could, there are a few wonky things here and there. I think I am going to make a video about like what they got wrong and how they could fix it. But I mean, Rene Ritchie, if he's watching, he gave me like a list of 4 video titles, and I'm like, okay, I'll just make those videos.
Shout out to DePoets in the chat, who we've had on this show before. For the $5 super chat, it says shout out to the Painfully Honest Full 2 crew, and we'll go there in a moment.
Well, that's only Viper though, so he's only shouting out to Viper.
No, there's more than Viper.
The Poet's got one.
Bruce Wayne is here. The poet. Bruce Wayne is here.
DePoet's got one. I saw it on his TikTok, and I think we mentioned this last week, but we'll say it again. Congratulations on DePoets for not getting TikTok shut down, so he can continue dominating over there. He's doing all sorts of PC build stuff and so if you're into like PC builds and like water cooling and stuff I don't understand with PC stuff, go check out DePoets over there. He has a voice of a god. It's very deep.
Yeah, Zach is always talking about that voice.
Well, between him and Michael Fisher, I think they could have an amazing podcast. And it would just
I think if they
ASMR.
started a podcast together, those two radio voices would open up like a black hole.
Jason, Zach is always talking about voice because he is a voice actor, so he studied them.
I've been doing some stuff. Yeah,
that's cool. That's cool though. I mean, you gotta.
I haven't been doing voice acting. I've been doing voice over stuff. So I've been recording voicemails and
they can all fancy schmancy.
Thank you for calling.
You're studying it. We know.
Thank you for calling so and so. Press 1 for accounting. Press 2 for this. Press 3 to talk to a human. Whatever. Right. So, yeah.
That reminds me. That there's actually of course, there's actually a person, but I remember reading an interview with the woman whose voice is Siri.
I've seen that. Yeah.
That is really weird.
Yeah.
Because she talks like Siri.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't imagine that like Majel Barrett. Okay, I'm going to geek out here for a second. Majel Barrett, who was the wife of Gene Roddenberry, was always the voice of the computer in Star Wars.
Well, let's back up. She was the original number 2.
Yeah.
On the original Star Trek. Majel, is it, how do you pronounce her first name?
I've always heard it pronounced Majel Barrett.
I thought it was Majel. Anyway. She also played Counselor Troy's mother on Next Generation. So if you watch Next Generation, you know who I'm talking about.
Right. Yeah, but she's always been the voice of the computer.
Yeah.
And so, I would imagine when she meets people that she doesn't know, they if they've ever watched Star Trek, they might be like, "Why is your voice so familiar to me?" But imagine being Siri. It's just bizarre. But yeah, I guess now we have to transition and talk about Samsung and their latest middle finger to their customers.
Okay, stop. Okay, so today I'll give everybody the here. Let's bring up my tweet here. We're gonna share a screen, and this is for the people that are here, obviously watching with us. All right, so today Samsung had their 4th Unpacked event for the year, and this was for the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE. Can you share that screen there, Jason?
I can.
Okay. And so what this is I don't want to use the word stripped down, but I don't know how else to call it. But yeah, it's basically an S20. It's above the Plus, but it's below their Ultra. Okay. So it's bigger than, I think it's bigger than the Plus, but it's smaller than the Ultra. So 6.5-inch flat screen, 128 or 256 storage with either 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM, 5G, flat AMOLED at 6.5 inches, 4,500 milliamp battery, triple lens with an 8, 12, and 8 on the back, 32 megapixel selfie camera, IP68, and the features go on, and it comes in a range of these pastel-y matte type colors. I can't remember these. They use they're called haze. Those are the color names. So we've got like this kind of like a taupe thing, a white, like a green, a lavender, a red. I like the red, and like this blue thing here. And $699 US, and it hits the mark for a lot of what people are looking for. And at first, when I first heard the rumors and I was reading all the specs and everything about what was coming out last week, we talked about this briefly last week, maybe the week before that. At first, I thought this is a device that's going to compete against the Pixel 5 that's going to be announced next week. But it's very clear of the price point and what's packed in here that this is meant to compete with the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 12 Max, not necessarily the Pros, but the ones that will probably sell the most because of price point. This packs a lot.
It is a very impressively spec'd phone for a reasonable price.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that. Samsung, the company that didn't make any S20 below $1,000 this year, and the most expensive one was probably the most, how shall we say, compromised of all of them. But like you said before we started the podcast, like if I bought an S20 for $1,000 back in February, and now they put this out and it's better than that phone, and it's $300 cheaper, I'm pissed.
Let's be really clear. It's using Glastic. We need confirmation on this, but it is not a glass back. It is Gorilla Glass 3, whereas the S20s were Gorilla Glass, I want to say 6, but pretty sure it was either 6 or 5. Okay, so it is not as strong. But again, corners are cut in order to bring that price point. But you bring up a very valid point, Jason. If I bought an S20 Plus or Ultra earlier this year, I'm looking at this, 4 months later, going, what?
Not to mention the fact that the regular Note 20, the participation trophy model that it is, which starts at $999, does not even have a 120 hertz display.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
But I will say, having used that phone, that the Glastic back is not necessarily a negative. I thought it would feel cheap. It definitely doesn't feel cheap, and I assume they'll be doing somewhat the same thing as they did on the Note 20 participation edition. But
look, you got OIS, you got optical image stabilization, 5G chipset in there for if you have that access. IP68, like this marks off. And speaking of the back, the finish there, it's all like a matte finish, so there's no fingerprints. Yeah, very very little. Like I was seriously looking at getting the Ultra next month in November. And now I think I will seriously look at this right here. This marks it.
Yeah,
seems like.
This is the thing, and you've said, and we know that this is what Samsung does. They put out a ton of phones, and to me, this is what makes me upset about the way Samsung does business, is that they're not really consumer friendly. They're not trying to give you the best product for the lowest price, right? They're shotgunning it.
Their strategy has always been to flood the market. Yeah. And over the last 4 or 5 years, probably 6 or 7 years actually, has been their two big main unpacked events. The Galaxy S in the middle of the year or start of the year, and at the end of the year you had the Note. Okay,
right.
This is their fourth event because of this, and also because of the Fold 2. Okay. But it's kind of interesting seeing a lot of comments saying, oh my gosh, how many events or how many phones is Samsung going to bring out? Dude, if you go to any carrier store, Samsung has everything. They have the J series, the A series. They got, this is nothing new. They're just putting more of a spotlight on this. And they were really clear in their marketing, whether this is on purpose. Obviously it's on purpose because they put it there. But, they kept the lead up to today. There was, we listen to our fans and we put all the best features for you. We want to, make something that you want. So, whether this is a panic because of low S20 sales, I don't know. But if you go back and read a lot of the rumors and everything of when this kind of first hit the radar, this was definitely planned. But I don't know if it was planned to have this kind of spotlight, with an event and everything.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, Genosis makes the good point here that the FE is probably what OnePlus wishes it did with the OnePlus 8.
Mm-hmm. This is very OnePlus-ish,
Yeah, it's, to me, it's a very interesting phone because it's probably the phone that Samsung should have released anyway.
That's
right?
And that's something I've heard a lot of people say too. Yeah.
And yet we've had to go through 9 months of the year of Samsung like throwing everything against the wall, and it's like we've heard Samsung say, "We listen to you."
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, oh, you mean you actually recognize that there was a deafening silence at the cash register when nobody bought your way overpriced phones?
We talked about this back in, we talked about this back in March. Remember, we said, here's Apple releasing an SE at whatever price, right?
At $400,
and Samsung's coming to the table to say with 1,000. This absolutely should have been released earlier in the year. Whether it was on the roadmap or not, we don't know, but it's here now, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Samsung. I don't know if it's like a size of the corporation thing, because Samsung is just like its own nation state, I don't know if it's a size, like, I don't know if that sort of method of working keeps them from being like lean and responsive. I mean, Apple, as big a company as they are in terms of how much they're worth, they're still a relatively lean company in terms of, how they are able to pivot and move their products.
See, and speaking of the pivot and everything, here's why I don't think that the S20 FE here was a panic or a move because of low sales or whatever early in the year, Jason. I think this was perfectly timed because of 4 iPhones coming out this year. Okay, 2 of which are going to be somewhat consumer friendly priced. Okay,
right, yeah.
Until you go into those 2 Pro models. Okay, these are because what do we normally see launched aside along with the iPhone every year? We always see a Note, right? What's the Ultra going for? Like their big boy right now, 1,400, 2,000 US, right, or whatever it is, right? So this is these are very. I mean, it was very clear by the presentation, by the marketing, what you're seeing right now, that these are very much geared towards that younger demographic. I'm going to say 21 plus, maybe younger. But there was enough in there in terms of spec stuff, like the 120 hertz kind of thing. For us tech guys to go, nerds and everything, to go, okay, cool. But they also presented in such a way that people would understand what that means when they showed the demo, which I thought was very brilliant. So I think this was purposely planned because, we got 4 iPhones coming, 2 models of which, the 12 and the 12 Max, I think that's what they're called, which will be competitively priced at $699, or who knows, right?
Well, I think of it this way. There's actually, this year, there will be 5 iPhones released, if you count the SE as a new model.
True.
And that SE came out pretty much in tandem with the S20 phones.
Yeah.
And I would venture to guess that if it was a S20 versus an SE to a budget-minded consumer, that budget-minded consumer was probably like, that phone's $1,000?
Yeah.
I'll take the $400.
Yeah.
So this is good because maybe it's a problem that Samsung has had for many years, in the sense that by the time Apple comes out with their big flagship product, Samsung has sort of blown their wad.
Yeah.
They had the S phone in February, and then they have the Note in late summer, and then they don't have a product to go up against the iPhone, really, because by the time you get from February to October, it feels like the S20 came out last year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it could be good that they're sort of positioning themselves with a new product in the stores around the same time that the new iPhone comes out, because then the the people in the carrier stores can say, "Oh, and here's this new phone from Samsung, the FE edition of the S20. It's only this much money."
Now here's something interesting. So a week from today is Google's Night In event. So it's the Pixel 5 event. Okay.
Okay.
And if you read we pretty much know what to expect. 90 hertz. I think 5 point. It's either 6-inch or 5-point-inch size screens. Et cetera, et cetera. Speculation. What I've read is that this Pixel 5 is going to be around either $599 or $699. I'm telling you right now, based on what Samsung's introduced now, that Pixel has to come under that price. It definitely has to. All right.
Yeah, I've always thought it would probably be $699, and I'd Google. I wouldn't put it past them. They've done stupid things in the past, but if they're smart and they want to sell any phones, then they want to make that Pixel 5 $700.
Yeah.
And maybe not even make I don't know if that. I haven't really paid attention to Pixel news, but maybe not even bother with like an XL model.
Well, from what I understand, there's supposed to be 2 colors. It's one size. Apparently it's going to look very much like the 4A. Material wise, who knows? It's still going to have, I really hope they don't do this, fingerprint sensor on the back. I mean, the Samsung here has an in-display. So, much cleaner, aesthetically looking, back there kind of thing. So, but this is not meant to compete with that. But definitely when people are looking at devices, they may look at the feature-rich FE compared to, say, a Pixel. And what's Pixel really great at? Photography.
Right. Yeah.
But look at all the other great stuff, obviously, you can get. I mean, so it's good to have options. But it's very apparent now, based on the marketing and the way that they presented this today and what they've packed into the S20 FE, that this is meant to compete against the iPhone 12 and the 12 Max, not necessarily the Pro models, based on the leaks we know, right? So, I'm excited, but like you said at the top of this, if I bought an S20 Plus earlier this year, I'm going, what the, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's the same kind of middle finger that they give their customers every year when their most loyal customers go out and pay full retail price for the phone, and then 3 months later, it's like $300 less, and all those scrubs who just want a new phone are buying it then, and the most loyal customers have paid a premium for having it early. That to me is always like super insulting to those people.
Look at the Note. It's been a month now, just over a month, and I mean, it's already been reduced in price significantly, which again brings me back to what my comment earlier, which was, I was planning on picking up the Note possibly next month after I know what Pixel comes out with.
Right.
But now that we got this FE, I'm really attracted to this, right? So
I have a question for both of you all.
Okay.
Did you receive an email from YouTube talking about joining the YouTube Shorts beta?
The what?
Okay, never mind.
Okay, that's their TikTok competitor.
Yes.
I
no,
don't remember. No, I don't think so.
No.
So yeah, no. But I do know that YouTube does a lot of different stuff. Like they do betas, and they just like pull people from all different places. Because I don't know if you guys have it, but I now have Applause available on my channel.
Yeah, so people can tip you on your videos.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's done it. But
So Jason, have you ever gotten an email from YouTube about joining a certain beta program?
No, usually I'm notified, if I recall correctly, I'm notified in the Studio app or the Studio page.
Oh. Viper, what are your thoughts on the FE? We haven't heard from you because you've been.
Yeah, I'm trying to make sure that the email is legit before I respond. But the FE, I mean, it's a good thing. I mean, obviously, like you said, Zach, it is designed to go directly against the iPhone 11 or the iPhone 12 entry level model. So it'll be interesting to see the how that stacks up. I mean, we know the iPhone will sell more, but like I said earlier on Twitter today, that phone packs a lot of features for $699. Features that probably won't come with the iPhone 12 mini, as it's going to be called. So my thought is Apple's going to have to consider putting more features into their iPhone to compete. Because I spent 27 minutes last year in my Pixel 4 review railing on things that the Pixel didn't have in relation to the competition. And now Apple is starting to fall behind a little bit with what features they're offering or not offering compared to the competition. Like everybody complaining about 120 hertz this year. Now, I don't think it's a big deal, but like I said with the Pixel 4 last year, when your competition is doing it and you're not doing it, it's highlighted. It becomes that much more emphasized when you're not doing it. So again, Apple is going to have to consider like packing more on these phones, especially for these prices that they're charging. Because if Samsung could be doing all of this, and Google doing their thing, and everybody, all these other manufacturers are trying to catch up and do their thing, Apple will have to start competing.
Yeah, well, I Luca makes a point here. Like, nobody's going against Apple. I think that for those of us who like kind of pay attention, like close attention to this stuff. It can look like Apple is like losing the spec game.
Yeah.
But I think for the majority of people who buy iPhones, like they don't care.
Yeah.
They would never buy a Samsung S whatever phone anyway. So there's like a slush fund of buyers that are in the middle that might go one way or the other. But I think the majority of iPhone users are always going to use iPhones until they really mess something up or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and I have to agree. We talked about this before. People that like iOS or are used to iPhones, they buy iPhones, right? They're not necessarily switching back and forth. But there's definitely going to be a percentage, we don't know what that is, that, maybe that's all they have. And maybe they have a PC at home. They don't have anything else, right?
Right.
So maybe when they walk into that Verizon store, that AT&T store, that TELUS, that Bell, that Rogers, whatever, and they go, okay, here's the iPhone 12 Max at $899. Okay, here's the Samsung S20 FE, and look at all these features it has for $100 less, and $200 less.
The first thing they say is, "What's 120 hertz refresh rate?"
Well, that's up to the marketing and everything like that. So to properly, but I mean that's obviously one of many features, right?
Yeah.
So competition is good. We talked about this before.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I mean, I actually think the gap is widening in some ways, because now we've reached the point where we're into our second decade of the quote unquote Apple ecosystem. Like the iPad is 10 years old, and so people have been investing in Apple stuff for many, many years. And I think for the average person who's just like trying to get the most out of what they're paying for, if they've spent, if they've got the sunk cost of like however many thousands of dollars that they've paid into the Apple ecosystem and how many movies they bought on the Apple on Apple TV and all that kind of stuff, most people aren't going to move. So I think that's fine. I think it's definitely what Apple's trying to make happen, and Samsung's trying to make it happen too. The one thing that's really interesting to me, because while Samsung competes against itself in some ways, and also competes with all the other Android manufacturers out there and everything, Samsung is still like the number 2 dog, at least in smartphone sales for the North American market, right?
Yeah. You walk into a carrier store, you're going to see your big Apple displays, your big Samsung displays. You might have a small Google display, and then everything else is kind of mixed in. You'll have your I can't remember the last time I actually saw a dedicated LG display or dedicated Alcatel or dedicated, do you know what I mean? Or Sony, Sony display, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, no, I usually there's like 1 or 2 LG phones over on the end of one of the things, but the thing, I talked about this before. I think I talked about it here on the podcast, and then Greg from Greg's Gadgets and Gary from Everyday Dad were both talking about the fact that you can now enter the Apple ecosystem for less than $1,000.
Yeah, we talked about this last year, remember?
Yeah,
and especially with the introduction with we talked about this initially, I think 2 years ago.
Yeah,
with the 10R.
Yeah,
right. But now, you make up a good point. You can get like the new Air iPad, an SE or a Series 3, plus an SE. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, you get the iPhone SE at $400.
That's powerful.
Then you get that iPad 8 for, well, it's $349, but at Christmas time it'll be $249.
Yeah.
And then you get an Apple Watch Series 3 for $200. And let me see if my math fails me. That 400 plus 200 plus 250, it's less than $1,000. And Apple has, while the smartphone war has gone on,
yeah,
Apple's doing like the hearts and minds thing.
Well, I think Apple seems like they're obviously focused more on it doesn't matter what's in your pocket as long as it's an Apple something, or you have an Apple something at home, and then you get them with the services. I mean, that's where a lot of the meat and potatoes is going to come in the future here. We've already started seeing it. But then, like you said, if someone walks into a Best Buy or whatever, right? Yeah. And they see a special iPad, watch, phone, $1,000, like that's so tempting. And now you've got someone in that walled garden. I'm not saying they can't get out of it, but they're gonna have to do a whole lot of cutting. They're gonna need a Manscaped or something like that to get out of there, right? So
it's true. And those to me are the three most impactful devices in the Apple ecosystem.
Solomon's text says, I have a cracked S10 for the S20 FE. I would say yes. I would say that is good upgrade because I had the S10. I loved my S10. I had the S10 Plus. I would say going from the S10 to an S20 FE, and thank you for the $4.99 super chat.
Solomon's absolutely.
I would say that is a great, considering you got a cracked screen, give her and buy yourself a screen protector this time. Okay.
Yeah. No, I think that's a perfectly good
cucumber.
Yeah. Good. That's perfectly good cucumber.
I couldn't have that.
But
we love you, Rich.
I'm just, I don't know. Now that this is people get mad at me. This is why people get mad at me, because I give credit where credit is due to Samsung and all the other folks, but end of the year starts to come around when we start to roll toward the fourth quarter of the year, and everything that Apple's doing starts to come together, and you're starting to recognize like what their plan was for this year, and it's like everybody else is playing checkers. Because Apple's competing with themselves, basically. And that's not to say that it's your prerogative to like the devices or to think that they're boring or any of those kinds of things. I mean, something's working. It might not be working for you, but something's working. And right now, they're their own best competition because they've got the $1,000 tier. Then they've got like a tier in between. And then they've got like the super deluxe tier. Whereas 5 years ago, they only had super deluxe tier.
Yeah. And then it was like tier 2 devices. You're like, but look what's happened in just like the last few years. And I think OnePlus has to be credited with this a lot too, with shaking things up, bringing great devices with really feature-rich features. Makes sense, and not killing your wallet, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, we've seen this comment a couple times in the chat tonight, and people will ask this on, should I upgrade this now, or should I wait for the iPhone 12, or should I wait till next? Okay, let me tell you this. There is always going to be a new device from all manufacturers every few months, okay? And if you constantly put yourself in that trap, like, I'm going to wait for the Note 30 or whatever they're going to call it next year, right? If you need an upgrade, if your phone is terrible, then get an upgrade. You're not going to be, and if you really want to put your mind at ease, go to like a website like GSM Arena and do a side-by-side comparison of the real spec by spec differences between devices year over year, especially in the last 3 or 4 years. There have not been huge leaps. The biggest leap we've seen is in physical moving form factors, folding devices. Okay. But for example, if you were to actually put the S20 Plus up against the FE, there are not a lot of huge differences. I mean, glass build, Gorilla Glass 3 versus Gorilla Glass 6, right?
Right.
That's not to say that your investment was wrong, but I can see from an initial perspective from today going, huh? Right?
Yeah.
But I mean, this is what cell phone manufacturers do. They go in cycles every quarter, every few months. They have to keep things fresh, especially now where people are more budget minded.
Yeah. Well, I think that, OnePlus was kind of like the canary in the coal mine that was telling us that you didn't have to pay that much for phones, because even less expensive phones could be just as good in terms of functionality and everything else.
You can have a premium experience without giving up a kidney. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now that has fully come to fruition, where you can buy a $400 iPhone or a $600 Samsung phone or whatever and have the same kind of experience. And the hardware game has totally flattened out. I'm going to say this and be somewhat controversial, but like with the advent of iOS 14 and then, iPad OS 14, whenever that officially comes out or whatever, the iPhone 12 is irrelevant.
The first one, like the initial
any
offering?
of them, they're totally irrelevant because the real experience is in the software. The real experience is in the software, and like, so you get the new device, and it's nice to have the new device, but you're going to have the same experience on like the iPhone 11 that you're going to have on the iPhone 12,
and that's what makes Apple powerful. The experience that my parents have on their iPhone 6 is the same as my sister has on the SE, is the experience that I have on my 11 Pro Max. Right? Everybody's going to get iMessage. Everybody's going to get AirDrop. Everybody's, you know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
What's the main differences? The hardware, how many cams?
Yeah.
Maybe build, whether it's aluminum or glass. Right? But you're absolutely right. It comes down to the software experience.
Yeah. And I think
Wait, hold on, man. What do you mean the iPhone 12 is irrelevant? How did that work? I mean, so are you saying because it's the vehicle of the software, then it doesn't really matter what the hardware is doing as long as the software is on there? And what are you saying exactly?
Yeah, I mean, you can run iOS 14 on a iPhone 6.
He ain't lying.
6S, you can run iOS 14 on an iPhone SE Gen 1. So is it as good? Would that be as good an experience as using a newer device? No, but I mean, if you've got an iPhone 11 and you're not like a crazy person like we are, then there's no reason for you to go even think about an iPhone 12, because you get the experience of what's actually good about it.
We say this every year. We say this all the time every year. Then each and every year, Apple gives us the compelling reasons to want to go get the new iPhone. This happens every year, man.
Yeah, well, last year, I mean, some years there aren't. iPhone 10s, 10s Max, kind of a blah year, right? But iPhone 10, iPhone 10, different, new, doing.
By the way,
things.
do we know that's actually going to be called 12, or will it be like 11?
We have no idea. We have no clue.
From what birdies have been tweeting,
it
is going to be called the iPhone 12. I'm pretty confident.
Apparently, going to be called. They're going to be the iPhone 12 Mini, iPhone 12, and then iPhone 12 Pro and Pro Max.
Gotcha.
So I think that you had the 10s, and it was, I mean, they weren't bad phones, but there was just nothing compelling about them compared to the iPhone 10, other than the fact that they made a bigger one.
But the 10s to the 11 was definitely compelling. That was a different experience.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the 11 Pro and the 11 Pro Max. I mean, there are two major things happening. It was A, battery life, and B, camera. And now, see, like, unless Apple really surprises us and comes with something that's like way different, like even form factor different. If they go back to the squared off design instead of the rounded edges like they've had since the iPhone 6, if they go back to that design, that'll be enough for a lot of people to go buy an iPhone 12.
See, Jason, you're forgetting the main thing that I highlighted earlier this year. This is the biggest iPhone upgrading year, Jason, in years.
They say that every year. Come on.
The super cycle is real.
Quiet! I'm not done. What I was gonna say is, This is the biggest iPhone upgrading year, Jason and Zach, because they're going back to Qualcomm modems. I don't think you understand how important that is, people. That is very important. Very, very important.
How much of their user base knows or even gives a shit about that?
Oh, when they're getting their drop dropping their thin scramble, they don't care, Zach. They will care.
See, but, okay, I know that this is a problem, but I also know that the people who have this problem live in major metropolitan areas. And the majority of people who live in America don't live in major metropolitan areas. So I think it's a problem. I don't disagree with you, but I don't think everybody experiences it.
Wouldn't it be more of a problem for the people that live in rural areas, though? You should say it'd be a problem for people that live in major metropolitan areas.
I think they're actually going to market that. Hey, we have an iPhone that won't drop calls now. Do you really? Come on.
No, I mean,
I don't care if they market it. It's there. It's going to be there.
I've had no problems with my iPhones that have had the Intel modems.
When was the last? Hold on. When was the last time you? When was the last time you ever saw an iPhone commercial, whether it be a billboard or something on TV or on your computer, where you had a bunch of people dance around and everything like that, and they're going, "So and so modems"? No, man, they're talking about cameras and battery life and screens.
I don't care 5 monkey nibbles about the marketing. I care about the experience. It doesn't matter what they market. It matters what they experience. And I have personally experienced signal and call being dropped with these crappy Intel modems. They are garbage. It's real.
Well, I mean,
okay,
Apple's leaving Intel altogether here within the next 18 months or so, if we're to believe what they're talking about. But yeah, well, I mean, that will be a good thing. But I don't think the majority of people are going to be like, I got to go get the iPhone 12 because they got the Qualcomm modem.
Exactly.
Right? I think that,
I'm not discounting. I'm just saying that I don't think we're going to see people rushing out because they know because the majority of their majority of the consumers have purchased iPhones that know of that issue, or because it's going to be marketed in a way. Do you know what I mean?
I'm going back to the comment Jason made about the iPhone 12 being irrelevant because it's basically the same hardware. And what I'm saying is not this time, not when they're going back to Qualcomm modems. Oh my Lord.
So I got to admit that Larry Robertson is correct. I don't make very many phone calls.
Who does? Does anybody?
You're the one complaining about it. So you're the one who's excited about a Qualcomm modem.
It goes beyond calls, though. It goes into data and data signal and crap. It's terrible.
Yeah, no, I get it. But the thing is, like, I think for the majority of people, I don't know if there's going to be something like battery or camera like there was last year that says, got to go get the iPhone 12. I just don't, as much as I know of what we're going to see, I don't think we're going to see any of that. Like, form factor could make a difference, but there's not going to be a major overturn in like camera quality again. There's not going to be like doubling of the battery size again, or the battery life again.
I can already see the commercials, like with the zoomed in on the edges. I have to admit, because I can see it in my head, it's gonna look sexy. I mean, they always make those presentations look sexy.
Apple is very good at giving you a compelling reason, whether it be marketing or whatever, to upgrade. And they will do it again this year. Oh, yeah. The main thing, Jason, though, what you got to watch out for this year is when these people open up these iPhone 12, Jason, and there's no charger in the box. Lord have mercy, those videos are gonna be glorious. I can't wait. I can't
wait to see the TikToks. What the Lord?
Yeah. Well, I've already made my video about that. And I mean, honestly, if they had the temerity or the courage or whatever you want to call it to take away the headphone jack 5 years ago, then I'm not surprised they're taking away the charging brick.
That's all good and well, but I mean, 5 years ago, I don't know if that. I mean, I'm pretty sure some people did, but I don't know if that many people cared about the headphone jack. But when these people get a load of not having a charger in the box, those unboxing videos in real time, they're gonna be like.
I'm gonna put together a compilation of people freaking out. I should. I really. It'd be amazing. Just amazing.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like they already seeded the ground with the watch, right?
And they said it with pride. And I'm like, that woman had some balls. I mean, how much did they have to pay her? Hey, we need you to go up there and tell me there's no what?
Yeah, it's like, well, at least it wasn't live. I mean, she got to tape it.
Oh,
But how big of a deal of not getting an adapter with the watch? That's not a big deal. If she did that on an iPhone stage, then it'd be a problem. But how big a deal with the watch?
My point is like, okay, if you get a watch, like let's say you enter the Apple ecosystem with one purchase, that's always probably going to be either a phone or a computer, iPad, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of those three things. But I think for a lot of people, it's going to be a phone. And you've bought some phones in the past, so it's probably safe to assume that you have a charging brick.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. We don't want to e-waste things and all that kind of stuff.
That's such a lame excuse.
Well, it's the perfect excuse because anybody who like claps back about it is a jerk for not loving the earth.
I'm an oil loving redneck. Okay.
Yeah, it's
right.
I mean I don't disagree that it isn't. It is a good thing to reduce waste, but
I agree with that. But I don't.
Saving money.
Their reasoning is just.
I love how Bob Grimes comes into the comments every week and tries to troll me. I'm gonna find out where you live, Bob. I'm gonna find out where you live.
We got threats.
So he can send a box of chocolates. That's not a threat.
We got threats on the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, too funny.
Well, I mean, if they offer an empty box, that must mean that there's like some sort of transdural implant iPhone, the iPhone brainwave.
Did your Series 3 come with a charging brick?
I haven't opened it yet.
Oh, open. I mean, it should. It's a Series 3.
I might want to do an unboxing video.
Do you want to unbox it right now?
I'm unboxing it right now.
Okay, Jason. Describe to us. You have to because it's a podcast.
So here we got this stuff. We got this literature. We're gonna pluck it and file it.
Yeah. Thank you, Flossie. He did a Flossie and a podcast at the same time, right there.
Oh God, great.
And yeah, there's no charging brick in here.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
There's nothing with the Series 3?
Nope.
I thought they just removed it for the Series 6 and the SE. What?
Empty.
What? No way.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Your revolution will be televised.
Charger.
Gotta get a charger.
He did the same thing last night.
Right. Jeez.
Yeah. There are going to be a lot of like retired people really confused at iPhone season this year. They're like,
oh God,
my battery's almost dead. What am I supposed to do? I didn't get a charger.
I just don't agree with shipping iPhone without a charger because not everybody's gonna have a charger somewhere. What about those first-time smartphone owners who get their phone and there's no charger in the box? Now they got to go out and buy one or use an aftermarket charger. And you really don't use an aftermarket charger, man. That's just not a good look.
I mean, go to your local gas station, pick one up, and enjoy your fire.
Exactly. That's not safe.
Well, see, that's the thing. This is what's brilliant about it. And, the way we talked about what makes me mad about Samsung and how they do business. This is what Apple does that bothers me. Mm-hmm. They say, oh, we're going to reduce our e-waste by not having these things. But if you need one, you can buy one for $20. So your $400, $500,000 whatever iPhone is whatever $1,000
Here's the problem. We created it and we'll sell you the solution.
Yeah. That's the same thing that they did with the headphones. Same thing that they did with the headphone jack. I mean, and it worked brilliantly, right? They took away the headphone jack and then they made a really arguably, and I like the AirPods. So they made a good product to replace them. However, the whole thing, like they created a problem so that they could sell us the solution.
Oh.
And
I mean, that's one way to look at it. I mean, I understand the e-waste side and everything like that, but I just look at first-time buyers or people that break and lose these things. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times have I been at a Starbucks or a Tim Hortons. Oh God, it's terrible coffee. And I've had people walk around asking me, "Do you have a charger? Do you have a and they're all gathered around the one plug in there. Do you know what I mean?"
Here's the interesting thing. Okay, so how many phones have I gone through over the years? How many phones do I have that are here in my house right now?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I could find a regular 5-watt iPhone charger if I had to in this house right
no,
now.
I have all Anchor Alki ones around the house because they're high quality, they're MFI certified, they're fast charging.
But I'm just saying, like, because I have a 16-year-old daughter, the iPhone chargers, like, and I have more of a supply than most people. The iPhone chargers are gone.
Because she ganked them.
Well, because she takes them, she loses them, she puts them
Exactly.
somewhere she can't remember, whatever. And so she takes all of those chargers and it goes into the black hole of teenager world.
Yep.
So how many other people are going to be in that same position, but they won't have like bought 10 phones this year?
Exactly. And that's where I'm coming from. Not everybody can have a charger lying around.
Yeah.
But
that's my I think we all share that kind of thing, right? It seems very anti-consumer in my opinion.
Okay, before we wrap up the podcast, we kind of have to wrap it up here pretty soon. We got to ask the hard question, Jason.
Okay.
Bruce Wayne is feeling attacked. So Bruce Wayne would like to know, why don't you have one? And why aren't you getting one? Galaxy Fold 2 for those of y'all listening on audio.
Galaxy Fold 2. Why did I decide?
My Fold 2 Bruce Wayne. So Bruce Wayne wants to know, Jason, why aren't you getting one?
It cost $2,000. I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
Is that the only reason?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
If it was $1,200, $1,500, I probably would have bought one. But I just that's a bridge too far for me. It's just there's something about buying a phone for $2,000, even though yes, I want the views and blah 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 and all that kind of stuff. I just couldn't do it. Like I said last week, I had to take the Note 20 back a week and a half ago or whatever if I wanted to be able to get the Fold.
Mm-hmm.
And the Note 20 Ultra was nice enough that I couldn't justify like taking it back and then spending another $800. You know what I mean? So, and I also know that because of the way that I deal with phones, like I don't use the same phone for more than 60 days ever. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to pay $2,000 for a phone, use it for 60 days, and then I got a $2,000 phone. So I didn't have like think all this through, but I was definitely as the time was coming up, I was just really conflicted. It's like, yeah, I want to try one, but I can't do $2,000.
No, I mean, like you said, if you're going through phones every 2 months, then it really doesn't make sense. So I got you. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, maybe I'll get one in 6 months. But I might not be covering Android phones anymore.
Oh, we're going here, huh? Okay.
Oh no.
I don't know. I mean, it has not been a very positive experience for me to cover Android phones. And not that it's been terrible or anything, but I know that the channel has to focus, and I think I'd rather focus on other things than like on stuff that. I mean, I like the Android phones, but I don't get to enjoy using any of them because they're in and out of my hands so quickly. So the reason I've been like doing this soul searching thing with the channel, trying to figure out what to do, and I might dial it in a little bit more. Be a little bit more specific, more about audio, more about Apple stuff. Who knows?
Okay. All right.
But I mean, it's just been my thought process for the channel was I talk about smartphones. And now that I look back at it over the past like year or two, it's like, well, I talk about smartphones, but I also review headphones, and I also do gaming headsets, and I also, I'm still doing all the things that I have done over the years. Mm-hmm. So it's like the focus isn't really tight. So I might just be refocusing You know,
I think if you did Apple, in general, and headsets like audio, that's two really good ones right there. And then when an intriguing or different type of Android offerings out there, one that seems that has a lot of eyeballs, you can slip that in here and there, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird situation because like the whole last 2 years, you know, first I get invited to the Samsung events, and then I get, you know, a Pixel in the Team Pixel whatever, and like I start to make those inroads, but as I cover their products, they like don't want to deal with me anymore.
Yeah, there's definitely a tricky balancing act with presentation and being maybe a little too, I don't want to say too honest, but very direct in terms of how things are presented. And I mean, who knows how they pick it, right? I mean, right?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm relatively sure that Samsung put me on the naughty list. I am. And I've had conversations with people who have kind of like confirmed that by experiences that they've had in the past as well.
Mm-hmm.
Which, whatever. I'm not gonna change the way that I do this.
Yep.
You know, you dance with the girl what brung you, and I do this way.
You know, Gerald Undone is going through the same thing right now with Canon. The exact same thing, right? Gerald Undone, if you guys aren't familiar, if you like cameras like that, you need to watch Gerald Undone. First of all, one, he's Canadian, so that makes him awesome. And two, he goes into so much detail. But I mean, he was very clear on Twitter, and in his he actually recently did a "Can You Trust" live feed kind of thing, answering people's questions.
Oh, I know. And he was like, I saw Marquez Brownlee did it. I'm like,
I know,
yeah,
and I
know.
actually, I almost wanted to super chat him, going, I don't think Marquez did, but I did. He didn't see it, but anyway, but I mean, he was very clear. Like, I brought up this Canon video, and now they don't answer my emails, which is just a really poor look. That's.
Yeah, but see, the thing about it is, like, unless you're somebody of the ilk of Marquez, somebody who's got like 2 million eyeballs that are gonna look at what you're talking about, then they can freeze you out because they don't have to deal with you.
Mm-hmm.
There are thousands of other people who would say all the nice things in the world without thinking twice about it, just because they got invited to the party.
Yeah.
So why deal with this person who's just going to slag on us after we, you know, I understand what the logic behind it is.
I think you need to make that really, I mean, did you ever do a video talking about, I mean, you've talked about it many times here on the podcast about how you got invited and this and that, and you had contacts with Samsung, and then you did a few videos where you were very direct about issues and this and that, and then poof, nothing. Did you ever do a video talking about that? Because that could be very valuable, and not so much like a hit piece, but that could be very valuable to your audience and people that are looking for really direct and not so much sprinkled with, you know, unicorn farts and everything. Do you know what I mean? Well,
I didn't do it, and I'll tell you why. Because, and I mean, you learn these things over time. And again, it's like, you know, when you're growing a YouTube channel, or you're growing anything, like, your perception of what you're doing is different than what other people are perceiving, and that continues to change all the time. But when I complained on Twitter that Google had taken me off the Team Pixel list, and I was like, you know, this is not my job, and it sucks that, you know, that doorway is not open for me.
Mm-hmm.
People took it as sour grapes. People heard me being, they heard it as me being sort of entitled or something, which wasn't what I intended the comments to be. But in retrospect, could see exactly why people thought that.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, people came at me on Twitter and, you know, talked it out and everything like that. But I don't want to give people the wrong idea. I don't want to go and sort of like talk about a brand and then people, get the wrong idea about what I'm trying to accomplish by doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's sort of like once that thing is out, like what people think of it and where it goes, I don't have any control over it.
Well, I think you've done a good job this year, despite maybe not being handed those devices, and you've still been able to be painfully honest and review what's people are looking for and everything like that. So, I think continue doing. I mean, don't hold back. I mean, I don't think you've ever pulled any punches.
I may have been a little overzealous in my criticisms of things just for effect. I'll admit that, because sometimes you say stuff just to get a reaction out of people. Saying that the Pixel 3 was just not a very good phone is nowhere near as engaging as calling it an abortion of a phone.
Yeah. See, like we were just talking about presentation. Those are words that you may want to remove from the vocab.
Well, I likely won't. Lessons learned won't refer to things that way now, but that was like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And, Painfully Honest Tech of 2 years ago hasn't had the same experiences as Painfully Honest Tech of right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting better at saying what I'm trying to say without going like way over the edge.
Yeah.
But I still don't want to get in the situation where I feel like I have to change the way I say something so that I can be in good favor with these companies, so I can have the opportunities that other folks have to have the early access that's really necessary to grow once you get to a certain point. I mean, yes, you can grow. You can cover the phones in 100 different ways, but if 100 YouTubers get to hang out with the phone and use it before the event and launch their video when the event goes live, and I have to wait until it comes out on retail.
But you and I and Viper, we've all, and us that are not like in that privy circle, everything, we have definitely seen a shift, especially with our audience here that's watching and listening to us, that, okay, they'll watch the video that drops at the same time as the key thing online. Okay. But then they'll make their purchase decision maybe based on what Viper says. Why? Because Viper went out and dropped the 2K on this, right? Jason went out and, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this goes back to we've had this conversation several times. If you're making a purchase decision and you really don't know, do yourself a favor and watch creators of different sizes. Watch your Marquez's, watch your Jerry Riggs, and then watch your Viper or your Painfully Honest and everything like that, and get different perspectives and find out where and how they obtained those devices. So then you can decide, especially based on their library and their portfolio of work, can I take this? Do you know what I mean? It's really, really, so for me, I didn't go out and get an Ultra right away, a Note 20. So I've been watching Technically T's Ultra coverage and tweeting with him. That's been really helpful for me. Your stuff, Jason. Then I've gone back and I've watched, Jerry Rig and Marquez and all the big boys and everything. And I'm finding a lot of consistencies. Saf, Super Saf, who, by the way, everybody, we're going to get him on. We're going to figure out soon. Not next week, probably the week after.
Okay.
And I'll talk to you guys about that later. But I mean, he just came out with an amazing review yesterday. I think it's like 24 minutes long. He's got different place markers, and he goes into a lot of detail. And it's more than I've ever seen from Saf before. And I really appreciate that, because I started watching Saf when he was like around 20,000 or something like that. Like, I've been watching him forever.
Right.
Right. So it's really important. And if you want to keep yourself in a bubble and only watch Marquez, and fine, that's fine. You've probably already made your decision whether you're going to get a device. So I think it's important to have people like yourself, Jason, that maybe they had their hands slapped, or they don't get the ability to get devices, and they go out and get them anyway, because it definitely gives a different
the
feedback.
thing is, I may also be paranoid. There may be an element of that, I may read into things. I'm sure plenty of people who know me know that I read into things pretty deeply without there being a ton of evidence. But the thing is, like, I went and I got the S20 Ultra.
Mm-hmm. The S, and you got the you also got the regular Note. Yeah.
And I got the Note, and I got the Note 20 Ultra.
And nobody was covering the regular Note. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I said everything I needed to say about the Note 20.
Mm-hmm.
That it's really just like a phone that shouldn't exist at that price range, et cetera, et cetera. But that being said, it's a pretty decent phone.
Yep.
And the Ultra, again, super expensive phone. We can argue all day about whether or not it should be that much money, but it's a premium experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so
look at me as of recent, for example. So I did all those Pixel videos. Was it? I can't even remember. Viper, was it the Pixel 2 or Pixel 3 where I bought 7 of them? Pixel 3?
2.
Pixel 2. Was it 2? Okay, so Pixel 2. I ended up buying 7 devices because of the blue shift issue. Remember that?
Yeah.
With a known issue. And then I went in on the Pixel 3 because damn thing burnt my hands when I was rebooting it during a live stream.
I literally tried to roast them.
Literally, right?
Weren't we all on the live stream where that
I did that stream the same night. It was after the podcast.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
but anyway, and then I cut that up into a video. And then I ended up buying the Pixel 4 last year because to go in on them about not having an ultra wide. But everything else I loved about it. I was actually wrong about that. It's one of my biggest Pixel videos. I was wrong about the Pixel 4. It's one of my biggest videos. And I still really like that device. And then last year, everybody's getting Pixel 3As. And I thought in my head, nobody told me this. Oh, they're not sending me one because of channel size and maybe because of I didn't say the greatest things about their stuff. And I was quickly corrected by a few people saying, no, they don't care if you go in on them as long as you're fair. And then this year, everybody got Pixel 4As. And I thought, okay, what's up? There's channels smaller than me or this and that, or maybe the subpar type. There's channels out there that have really bad content or don't even do phones that were getting Pixel 4As. So I wrote Google and I was very transparent about them. These are the videos I've done on it before. These, can we work together? The initial response was no. I reached out again. They said no. Then they wrote back to me and they said, hey, we got some devices. Here you go. So persistence works and everything. I think being transparent. So, you can get back in there. I think as long as you present yourself in a way. And I think Jason, once I don't want to say like, will it be 200,000? Will it be 300? I don't know what it'll be, Jason, but I think there's an opportunity here for you to present to Samsung again and say, hey, people are coming to my stuff looking for this brutally honest stuff. Let's work together. We know you're confident in your products, right? I
mean, who knows what's going to happen in the future? And like I said, who knows if I'm just being paranoid? Mm-hmm. Although, the way things have played out, I don't think so. So the thing is, like, a lot of bigger YouTubers ultimately end up buying the devices themselves. Mm-hmm. Like we know that Marquez has said that, and they have the benefit of having that early access that not everybody gets.
Yeah.
And that's become, I think, more of an advantage over the past few years as coverage of phones on YouTube has become really sort of solidified as like, here's how it works. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It's like, I would rather get the phone myself. Mm-hmm. And have whatever I had to say about it, then, and not have to worry about whether or not I have a relationship with the company or not.
Yeah. And there's also ways, so not a lot of people know about this, but it's not usually Samsung or Apple directly or Google directly that we talk with when we get these devices. It's usually a PR company. Yeah. That gives, so Google will give that PR company so many devices. They may even give them a list of people that they do or do not want to work with. But there also might be a seeding strategy there. We're only going to focus on these kind of channels, right? It makes sense to send Pixel 4As, for example, to US based and focused channels. Yeah. I'm in Canada, but I do have a majority of 45% US based audience, right? So, you know, you have to present that kind of stuff. So we don't know what the process is, right? And also another thing too, Jason, at these PR companies, they're constantly changing people. People are always changing over, moving departments. They may even change, right? So I think when was the last time you actually emailed that company that takes care of Samsung?
It was before it was like coming up on the S20 event.
Okay. I would strongly suggest you email them tonight about the FE and just say, hey, I would love to put this up against the iPhone. You know, you don't even have to mention that. You just say, hey, it looks intriguing. Would love to take a look at it. Let me know if we can work together.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I that's not a bad idea.
I really think you should.
At the end of the day, like I said, I've been thinking about like what does well on the channel. What do I like to do? You know, like what do I feel positive about when I do it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got to be honest, like doing that iOS 14 video, irregardless of whether it was iOS 14 or Android 11 or whatever, it was a different kind of video for me because I sat down.
I felt the energy from you. It felt positive. Like it didn't feel like positive, like not painfully honest, but I could definitely tell that you had a good time doing it. It felt like you and I were sitting down and hanging out.
I was just teaching.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
I was like in my teacher mode, which I don't get to do really anymore since I went full time at doing this. And it's a totally different feel. And you feel good about putting something out there in the world that hopefully is going to help somebody.
Tutorials, if they're put out the right time, just like I said, we said here at the top of the show that, you know, iOS 14 was put, even though it was available as of Wednesday last week, it was pushed out to a lot of people Friday and Saturday. The timing was just perfect. I mean, I don't think anybody knew that could have happened, but you keep on piggybacking on that. So
yeah, like I just had the general sense. I mean, I know from prior experience, and then you know this what happens in this past weekend, that if part of the whole game of YouTube is being on time. Yeah, you know, you've got to be on time, and if you are, you can get caught in the stream and moved forward.
And if you can't do it first, do it the best, or bring a higher quality, or a different.
Do it different, do it better.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, for me doing the iPhone or the iOS videos, like I just basically thought like, I'm not going to do it the way that I see it mostly done. I'm going to do it like the way that it feels natural to me. Yep. So and in that sense, it was really fun. And those videos, beyond doing the research and learning the stuff and digging into what you need to know in order to be able to do them, like it's easy to do.
I sent your widget video and Viper's widget video to my sister because she didn't quite understand how you could stack stuff and everything. I said, hey, check out these two videos.
Right.
I mean, again, tutorials like that are great, like just like a step-by-step kind of thing. That can be really good as long as it's, you know, it's not a bunch of fluff, right? $2 super chat from Jake Kraus. It's a walled garden Samsung since 2012 here. Samyang since 2012 here.
Same song. No, you're right. It totally is a walled garden. I think one thing that I've learned now, and I'm much more tuned into it, is that there's plenty that you could say negative and positive about any of these companies and the products they release. And getting caught in the place where it's like, because I'm quote unquote painfully honest tech, I'm supposed to like say negative things, or like, you know, I don't know, that's become very tiring. And I don't think it translates to the people watching the videos as much. I mean, there have been some videos that I've made where I've honestly been, you know, frustrated and a little bit angry and done that. But
I get very frustrated as a viewer where I'll go watch a video on a new device or a new feature, something like that, from something, and the parts that might be negative or, you know, red flags are not highlighted enough or in a way to make me aware. And then I'll go watch someone like Michael Fisher, and he'll definitely highlight it, but in such a way that it's not like in your face, right? And then it makes me wonder, well, why did this other person, if it's so obvious,
Well,
and it turns me off from that person, from that creator. You know what I mean?
I think most people's natural instinct is to want to be liked. And, you know, usually if you're negative, you're going to rub people the wrong way.
Yeah.
So I think when people do reviews, they want people to watch. If they're a newer creator or something like that, they want people to watch. They want the people who like these devices or are thinking about buying them to watch. Mm-hmm. And so while they might point out some, one or two negative things, they'll do it in a way that, you're having a conversation and it's just like you're talking top 3 main points, and then you're like, and there's this and there's this and there's this, but to wrap up. And so it's kind of pushed to the side, way to the back. We all know that people watch if people watch 50% of your video, that's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't think people really start thinking about what they're doing and how they're doing it when they're reviewing stuff until they've done it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And like Dave Lee, every once in a while, Dave Lee will have some really, really great observations about what experiencing products as a reviewer is like, and how it's different, and how it impacts the way that he interacts with the device.
Yeah.
And I always appreciate that, because he's really smart, and he has that ability to say like pretty not negative but critical things about a product, and not be off-putting when he does it.
Yep.
And yet still kind of have his real feelings about the product right out there and known. Whereas some people, you'll watch a lot of other reviewers, and you'll be like, if you sit back and ask, like, do they like the product? Do they not like the product? Are they saying I should buy it or not?
Mm-hmm.
And you can't answer that question.
If it's a review, there should definitely be a recommendation or not at the end or somewhere with that video. If it's a showcase, you won't necessarily get that unless the person has a different set of moral compass or something like that.
Well, yeah, different strokes for different folks and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see how talking about this stuff could sound disingenuous to someone, like where I'm complaining, blah blah blah, and it's like, well, you complain from where you are, sounds like you're crying in your caviar or something. But I think the same thing about people who are way up the line from me.
All right, shout out to Luca for the super chat.
Yes, thank you, Luca.
Appreciate you, man. We're getting off into the weeds, and I don't know if this is the platform to be getting off into the weeds, but thank you. Appreciate you supporting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting to me. This is something I've had to be thinking about all year, and then to sort of come out of the weeds and have something organically go well. It's like, oh, wow, haven't experienced that for a while.
There you go.
So, but yeah, you're right. This has turned into
Let's wrap things up, because we're coming up to the 2-hour mark of
and now we're in for people's time.
Yeah, let's wrap things up here we do this on a regular basis. We'll start with Viper, like a streaming suggestion.
What you even asked? I already know. So today, there's a new Sherlock Holmes movie on Netflix called Enola Holmes. It's a story about Sherlock Holmes' sister. So I need to go watch that. I'm probably gonna watch it tonight at some point when I'm done doing what I'm doing. But that's what I'll be watching on Netflix.
Okay. I'm going to suggest you watch, it's a documentary with inserted dramatic parts, which I think it could have done without, called The Social Dilemma. Go watch it, but don't consider it to be the end all and be all of how social media works in general, or these apps and everything. There are inserts in that show, in this documentary, where it's kind of like a dramatic, acting and this and that. I thought it could done without, but the interview stuff with the people from Facebook, from Instagram, etc., Twitter, is really, really interesting stuff. The Social Dilemma. Definitely go check that out.
I start. I got back in last night to watching The Curse of Oak Island.
Oh, you're back on that.
Yeah, because I guess season 7 is now available, and it's a hard show to watch because obviously these episodes have already broadcast, so everybody knows if they find something or not. So I try and like watch it in a bubble, but I don't know what it's like. Watching that show and watching a lot of the reality TV shows is weird because it's like I'm sitting here for hours watching these guys drill holes in an island. Like that's all they're doing is drilling holes and talking about it.
Yeah.
How can that be good television? But I don't know.
But it is.
Yeah.
But it is. Oh, and also they won a bunch of Emmys apparently. And I've never watched it. It's filmed here in Canada. It just wrapped up. Schitt's Creek, if you want to watch some funny stuff. I've watched a few episodes here and there, but go watch Schitt's Creek.
Oh,
yeah, that's the one that
people, just so y'all know, Carmen Sandiego is coming back. Season 3 is on Netflix October 1st, baby. Yeah.
I still have to watch some of those. I still need to watch some of those. I haven't watched any of them, dude. I mean, I used to watch the game show when I was a kid. Right?
You gotta watch Netflix. It's good.
Okay.
You know the theme song for that show back in the day?
I don't want to remember it. Just stop.
Where in the world
No.
is Carmen Sandiego?
No, wait.
Yes,
Remember that?
science.
I have to clear my. I'm trying to clear my palate here.
Anyway, I know a guy pretty well, or at least I did. We were friends in New York. He was in the a cappella group that sang that theme song.
Wow.
So anyway,
That's something to put on your resume.
1 degree of separation from Carmen Sandiego.
All right, take it away,
Yates
Jason. Let's
Network.
wrap things up.
Yeah. Yates Network, thank you for the super chat, brother. Really appreciate it. You know, sometimes on the Painfully Honest Tech podcast, we just we get into our feelings, and there's nothing wrong with getting into your feelings. Your feelings are good, but honestly, at the end of the day, this whole thing is just about like something that we all really enjoy. We geek out about tech, and so I hope everybody takes it in that spirit. I know some people don't. I know some people get, all up in their feelings about stuff, but I have fun complaining about things. Some people don't. It's all cool, but at the same time, I'm always trying to get better. Tech Free Needs, good to see you out there. Ace,
Also,
Jermaine.
before we go, live Timber will continue tonight at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. Your boy Viper will be live, so just so you know.
Be over there and watching that. Viper's live every day this month. He's rounding the corner into the back stretch.
Yeah.
Oh, and this one's for the people in their feelings.
Hey, we did 120 hertz. Ready to refresh. 120 hertz.
All right, folks. Anyway, once again, my name is Jason, sometimes known as the JTL. We got Zach, Viper. This has been the Painfully Honest Tech Podcast, the podcast so honest it hurts. Until the next time, we are out.